Alright, hello everyone. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Just gonna be doing a little walk and talk today. And the title of today's show, as I'm here on vacation with my family, just taking a little 20-minute walk here as we get ready to go out to lunch. And Anarchy, a legal matrix. Or, the legal matrix and anarchy, something along those lines. Because if we take a look at the word anarchy and break it down etymologically, we get from the Greek prefix an, without, and archon, ruler, without ruler. And so no masters, no rulers, and no slaves. This is what the modern anarchist cry is, right? And, no government. So if we take that and etymologically define it as I just did, it means without rulers. Now, it also means lawlessness and nihilism and nothingness and without God, without law, without nature. And this is where the modern anarchist is mistaken, is they say, well, no, it includes all those things. It's anarchy under natural law, which is a contradiction in terms, really, because if there's no master, that would include everything. You can't have an except, so you can't take the definition of anarchy and then say, well, it's except natural law. So there's no masters except natural law. Well, then it's not anarchy, because anarchy is lawlessness. It's without masters, including self-governance. So if there's no government, that would include self-governance. So they're completely lawless. And I know that in the freedom movements, which are really just a bunch of bowel movements, the libertarian movements and now the anarchist movements, which are popping up again really heavy, such as in the French Revolution, where back then, and connotatively and colloquially in the dictionaries, you'll see it means chaos and without any government. And it doesn't say except the internal government that the anarchist wants to have everybody live under, or something like that, right? It doesn't say except for the natural laws that the anarchist is going to live under. There's no inclusion of that in the actual definition of the word anarchy, which is what the anarchists want. And so they have all these, well, no, it really means this and it really means that, but that's just bullshit, really. And we're going to be covering this and falling into the movement traps as we get into all the fallacies and all the mistakes that these voluntarists, anarchists, libertarians, natural rights philosophists, the constitutionalists, the Occupy Wall Street types, the anarcho-capitalists, it's simply an economic problem, and if so beyond, let's go back over that again really quick. The word anarchy means without rulers, and that's what everyone in the anarchist movements agrees that it means, so that's not confrontational. But if you look at it, that means any rulers. So it's not saying but or except for natural law, except for God's law, right? And so it doesn't say except those things. Oops, sorry, I'm on a homemade selfie stick. I didn't bring anything and I wanted to do a walk and talk, so I rigged up some tent poles and some parachute cord that I had and a mount. Luckily I have a mount on me. Brought a couple things just in case the moment struck, and it's a nice day out here, and I found a little path to walk on near the cabin rental. But anyway, so again, anarchy doesn't say under natural law or under God's law. It says no rulers. That could mean at home, no self-governor. It can mean that. It can include that. It can include nihilism. And traditionally, that has been what it means. That's why all the anarchists look so ridiculous to everyone that hasn't drank in the Kool-Aid, essentially, and does think to them anarchy means chaos, because literally no master, no ruler at home, no God, is nihilism, is atheism, is solipsism, it's nothingness. And that's not only incorrect, but it's not a sound worldview and a holistic worldview of things if you have to say anarchy under natural law. Well, then it's just under natural law. You can't refute natural law and be under it in the same sentence. And so anarchism is the refutation of any master, including self-mastery, including self-governance. And then it's not a word game that I'm playing here. This is traditionally what anarchism is. And as a philosophical movement, adding things like capitalism on the end of it doesn't mean anything. It's not a holistic worldview that encompasses ethics and morality, as philosophy really should. The pillars of philosophy should include sound epistemology, ethics, and logic being applied to that's consistent without contradiction, not full of contradiction where you have to add in except for under natural law and God's law. And just to sort of wrap this video up, again, God, in the accurate definition of what that actually means, is not the Christian man in the sky, bearded guy, or like human anthropomorphized deity living somewhere, around us, or like outside of this creation, and like created this place and is like external to this place. Especially for me when I'm using the word God, but what I've come to find is actually the true definition of the Hebrew God in the Bible, what the Bible is actually talking about is the universe and existence and everything. And so when we're talking about living according to God's law, I'm not talking about religion or a Christian, like exoteric Christian meaning of the word God. So people would say, well, then why even use the language? Because that's what the whole system is based on. The legal matrix that you're under is based on the law of the Bible, only it's completely inverted. Because the first commandment in the Bible, which the Bible is an allegorical story with anthropomorphized characters such as Jesus Christ, who is the Word of God, or Logos, which is natural law, which is existence in operation, how natural law actually works. And so, yes, they've anthropomorphized Jesus Christ into being a human to give it human-like characteristics to explain how natural law works. And so Jesus in the Bible is literally the Word of God, or the laws of nature, the immutable, unchanging, unwavering laws that govern this demented reality, this 3D dimensional place that we're in. And so the reason why that's important is because the whole legal matrix that you're under has taken how to live under natural law, completely inverted it. The very first commandment of the Bible being to have no other gods. And the first thing we do, God being the law, God being the universe, so to respect what's real and not to respect that which is artificial, that which is man-made, which man's laws are man-made, are artificial. So when we put our hand on the Bible in court and swear an oath to tell the truth, there's a reason for that, because it's the law, because it's the law book, it's the ultimate law book. But again, they've taken and inverted that because you're in a man's law court operating under man's law. And so you're swearing two oaths, and you can't have two gods. Basically, you can't follow two systems of law. You can follow man's law, as we've all chosen to do, as all the slaves have chosen to do, is live under the man's legal fiction, legal matrix. Or you could live and choose to follow the laws of nature, or God's law, and live under your natural endowed rights and existence that you already have, based on just the pure fact of your existence. And so the real anarchists are government, are the corporations. The corporate fictions are the true lawless. They're the true no masters. They are attempting to invert nature, to invert basically everything. And really, if you look at it correctly through not the movements and the gurus and the guys who just say what anarchy means. Well, it means this plus natural law. It means this plus God's law. And creating these division lines that don't even make sense, that they can't themselves explain why it's divided in that way. Why we should tack on your definition of what it means as opposed to what it actually means. And then it gets everybody to be in movements of anarchism, which is what the government is truly under. They are the anarchists against natural law. They are the lawless against God's law, against the universe. And they're attempting to get all of us slaves to live according to their laws, which is inverted, which is satanic. And the way out of it is, of course, not exactly easy, and it's going to be a process, of course, if humanity wants to live under the laws of nature, which they can do and can invoke. But getting into the movement traps and falling into voluntarism and anarchism and all these things, which the government isn't worried about at all, because they understand what I'm talking about. They understand that these people will never find the path of how to actually live under self-governance, because they're calling themselves people without government, people without self-governance. So that's actually exactly where the whole District of Columbia, federal government wants their citizens, is in a state of anarchism, because that's what a citizen of the United States is someone who's rebelling against nature and rebelling against the laws of nature and the laws of the Bible and the laws of God, and choosing another master, choosing mammon, choosing man's law, the fiction, the legal matrix. So that's my anarchism and the legal fiction and the legal matrix. And hopefully those out there who aren't completely brainwashed and asleep, even up into the secondary matrix and the whole anarchism movement, will be able to, if you want to talk about it and have a discussion about it, let's do that. Let's talk about these definitions and these words, and we can come to a better understanding, hopefully. Other than that, I better get back and enjoy this vacation. That was a quick one, but I think I got the arguments put together quite succinctly for what I was trying to get across in this video. But of course, in the future, I'm going to be breaking this down much further, and I will I always try to put references and links in my work and the way to follow up on what I'm saying. So if I go off on a tangent like this about definitions and terms, well then in the post on my website, I will leave some reference information and sources and things that you can follow up on. Alright, take it easy guys. Talk to you later.